Yeah, he's the iPhone. And then Catherine. All right, we'll just get started. They gotta wait 5 minutes later. Go. All right. Thanks to everybody for being here today. We are going to do a continuation of the training that we did on Wednesday. So if you weren't there on Wednesday, I'm sorry you're missing out. I really hope that everybody has a pen and paper today because we're going to go over some badass information. And what you'll begin to find is that the more that you kind of listen to this and understand this is the more that you'll start implementing this in your sales processes and start having some success. One of the other things, the training that we did on Wednesday, has anybody been implementing that? I'd like to hear your experience. If somebody has a good experience from it. Our numbers show that obviously the training didn't go into effect, but has anybody had a good outcome?
I
So
haven't had any
I,
bad outcomes.
I've been utilizing it a little bit. It's helped with engagement and drawing out the interactions on the doors. So even like the nose scratch I was doing yesterday, right at the homeowner did it. So
Good. That's a lead. That's the pacing and leading. Go ahead. Anybody else? There was three people trying to speak up.
I booked an appointment because of it, just by matching and mirroring their movements.
Very good.
I thought I was doing it at one point, and I listened back to the recording, and I completely missed it. The dude's tone completely switched up, which was pretty funny. He just kind of yelled, "What do you want?" in my face after I tried it. So that was pretty fun.
Anybody else?
Joe and I booked an appointment. I was totally doing the whole mirror and matching, and yeah, they were really cool. They were like hugging themselves. I was hugging myself, and yeah, totally. I was aware of it, and I was practicing. And Joe and I booked an appointment.
Good job.
Thank you.
Nadia naturally does this. She called me up after the meeting. She says, "I'm going to do this," and I said, "You can't do it. You're already doing it." Some of us naturally already do this, and this effective communication, what you'll begin to find is that when you start paying attention to this, is that everybody naturally does these things anyways. We start mirroring, matching people just unconsciously without being conscious about it. It's about establishing and being intentional and doing it right away to build that rapport bridge very quickly. So on everybody that I've connected with this week, all my clients, I've been able to mirror and match them right away. The appointment I set yesterday, there's like two houses on the entire street that didn't have solar. Two houses of this entire block. It was wild. And so I just went up there and I was like, "Hey, I just got a question for you. Everybody on the block except for you and your neighbor has solar. Why is that?" And he started going into all these, like all these objections and stuff. And so I just started mirroring match him. He had these ticks that he kept using his hands like this and going like this, and he kept scratching his face, and I kept doing that. And after he got all the objections out, I didn't even say anything. And this guy was like, "Well, yeah," like he's like, "Yeah, that's the reasons why." And I had already built that rapport. He already immediately liked me because I was just mirroring and matching him. And then another consultation I had, I set the appointment on Tuesday. I went back there yesterday, and she kept going like this to her face, like this stuff, and going like this. And she kept her hands like this. She'd put her hands like this. So I was just subtly doing this, and she'd like this, and I'd be like this, and I kept doing like that, and I immediately built that gap. I could tell that she really liked me. I could tell that we built this rapport bridge. And what you'll begin to see as you start implementing this and you're intentional about it is that it's just a natural tendency that people will gravitate towards you and like you. People like themselves. And when we can do these little things, which a lot of you guys probably naturally already do, if you don't naturally do it, you have to train yourself to intentionally do this. If you watch anybody having conversations, if you watch anybody deep in thought, you'll always be able to watch these conversations and they look like they're getting along. They will always mirror and match themselves. So you don't have to be a psychologist to figure this out. Just watch anybody that's having a good conversation. If you're anywhere out in public or if you're at a party or a meeting or anywhere, and you're watching two people have a conversation, they will immediately adopt each other's mannerisms. And so this is very effective, and it really, it absolutely 100% works. We're going to finish up this. We're going to finish up some of the way that we can pace, and the next training will be leading after we've established the rapport. So the pacing, and the pace lead is literally normally the training we've done before is like you get 2 yeses and then immediately they come in through. But one thing I want to touch on before I dip into the training is I want to touch into the quality of a good set. So a lot of you guys are setting these consultations and then they don't close. Let me tell you, a good close is a good set. So the more comprehensive you can be and the more informative you can be about what's going to happen during the appointment is the better it's going to be. And I know this from my own personal sets. If I set a consultation and they sit, they're going to close. Like it's almost 100%. My close ratio is almost 100%. So it's because of the information I'm giving them at the door. It's a mini presentation in the home presentation. So a lot of you guys, if you're setting consultations, it's very important that you're always going to the close with the closer. If you're just setting consultations right now, it's really important that you're going with the close and that you're mirroring and matching what they're going to say inside of the home. And so whatever they're going to say, whatever their presentation is, it's very important that you mirror and match that at the door. And let me just tell you, like the two sets that I did, the 2 closes that I did, like when I got in the house, basically yesterday, I sold the guy on the door. He had a bunch of objections. He doesn't like the way it looks, his roof, like just the normal objections. Reason why he didn't go solar before. He gave me the blueprint on how he needed to be closed. And I could have literally gone into his house at that period of time, and I could have went and closed that guy. Like I could have gone from the doorstep into the home and closed him. But I was like, hey, let me just run this report. I'm not going to work with you if I did a real strong pullback. Had another consultation down the street that didn't sit, but I went and then I came back there, and then the close was seamless and it was very easy because he knew what to expect and he's already bought in at the doorstep. And so some of you guys really have to work on the set, the beginning of the set, and we know when we set a good consultation. We know when we set a good consult, right? I set 2 on Tuesday, and the first consultation, it was kind of wishy-washy. I know it's not a very good set, but I overcome all of her rejections. She had objection after objection, and I set the consultation, and she just didn't have enough pain. I have it set for Monday. We'll see if she sits, but
There he is.
yes, APS, everything's APS. So I've talked to 5 people. I had 4 conversations on Tuesday. I set 2 out of 5. And then yesterday I set 1 for 1. I went and knocked on some doors after I set that guy's consult, but I had no answers. So the first guy I talked to is the first guy I got. So, but the thing is the quality of the sets that you're doing is you're finding out, part of this is having good listening skills and building that rapport bridge. If you can master this one thing about the pacing, if you can pace every one of your customers and you can implement some of the things that I've been teaching you, I guarantee you right now, I promise you right now that, dude, watch your sales go up, watch your conversations go up, watch the close ratio go up. I mean, it's going to be very hard to mess something up if they're completely sold at the door. It's very hard to mess it up if they're onboarded at the door. So where it gets messed up is then when we set a consultation, and I'm not telling you guys to not set consultations that aren't 100%. What I will tell you is that you got to work on the set so that they're good quality conversations. Nadia, can you mute yourself? Yeah. Set good quality conversations that these people know what to expect, and then kind of get them bought in somehow, some way. So I'm just going to briefly go over the pacing that we did. We did the pacing, the tonality, and then we did pacing the body language. So I know some of you guys have mirrored and matched. I hope that you guys have implemented this. Nadia said she did. Caden said he was trying to mirror and match their tone. Josh has mirrored and matched the body language. I'm really hoping that you guys master the tonality as well, because this is a very, very big part of the equation. But the third part, number 3, is pacing linguistics. So match their words, phrases, and structure to speak their internal language. So we've talked about this before, and this is a little bit more advanced. So I'm just going to give it to you guys. Whether you implement this, I'm planting the seed today. There's 3 submodalities that people mainly work out of. Number one is vision. So it's the visual. So 60% are visual people. You guys, probably most of you on here are probably visual people. So visual people, and what they're going to use is words like, yeah, I've seen this, I'm looking for this. There's a bunch of words and stuff, the predicates and stuff that they're going to use that are going to identify who they are. Yeah, we've saw this, we've seen this, I'm looking for this. All of these other words and stuff that would speak to visual words. And then there's also auditory. I hear that loud and clear. I heard, my friends told me, this is what I heard. This is what I listened to. This is all of these other things and stuff. And there's a whole list. I'll send you guys the list when I'm done. Auditory is typically a very smaller percentage. And we'll get into deeper training as you guys get more advanced. I'll get into IQs so you can identify which submodality people use by their IQs. But what we want to be able to do is we want to listen to how they're speaking to us and what they're saying. So you're going to be intentional about this. This might require you to be a little bit more diligent and intentional about when you're listening to people. And the third one is kinesthetic. So feeling. Kinesthetic is feeling. We've talked about this a little bit before. I feel this. I feel frustrated. If they're using adjectives that are going to describe feelings a lot inside of the what they're talking about, they're going to be able to say this and do this for you guys as well. So let's just say, yeah, I've looked into this in the past and it didn't look good. Like, this is very easy to identify what type of person this is. 60% of the people that we're going to be dealing with are going to be visual people. So if you know they're visual, what would we say in return? If I've looked in this, it didn't look good in the past. I didn't see something that would make me move forward. What kind of language would we use?
You've never seen this before.
Yep. You've never seen this before. You've never looked at something like this before. This is something that you've never seen. And so let me kind of show you what this is going to look like. I'm going to have a really amazing proposal software that will show you exactly what you're getting into so that you can see exactly what's going on. Very easy. So if you can match their submodalities, you will be able to get these people every single time because you're speaking their language. It's not about communicating to people the way that we're comfortable communicating with. It's about communicating to them the way that they're comfortable communicating, right? Not about us. So we got to kind of take ourselves out of the equation. And the other thing too is I challenge all of you guys to identify what submodality that you're dominant in. And there's a whole list of things that we could do. We'll do this at a later training to identify. Like, people, you can do this very easily. Auditory, yeah, I heard from my friend that it didn't go well. He kind of got screwed. And so because of that, we're not making a decision to move forward. We're not going to look at this. So what does that mean? What kind of language are they using?
Visual.
That'd be kinesthetic, right? Because they heard.
I heard.
Yeah, they heard. So then you say, well,
No, it's auditory.
I heard is kinesthetic.
No.
What is I heard?
Auditory.
Auditory.
Okay, right. What would we say?
Did you hear about the rate increases?
Good, very good. What else?
Did you hear about Debbie down the street?
Yes,
I
that's
heard
very
the
good.
same thing.
You probably haven't heard about this, or you haven't heard about this new program. This is something I could,
You say this is what
explain
the
to you.
news is saying.
What, Thomas?
So this is what the news is saying, or this is what they're saying is going to happen.
Very good. Next level. Good job.
This is what APS was saying.
Yep. Saying, listen, you're going to want to hear this. This is super important. Let me tell you what all the neighbors are talking about right now. Neighbors are talking about how fearful they are about the future because the utility company is going to double in 4 years. You just had an 18.6% increase. So the neighbors are freaking out right now because of what's happening. So does that make sense? So you're going to want to listen to what I have to say because it's super important. So if you're going to listen, you want to hear, there's a whole list of words I'm going to send in a chat when I'm done of words and stuff that you could use. But this just requires common sense to be able to think of these things. It's not always hear or heard. It's listen, it's saying, there's a whole list of words and stuff of adjectives that you could use that will be able to describe them being auditory people. This is a little smaller percentage. This is a small percentage. And so we'll wonder about some of you guys. I know a couple of you guys. I know what your submodalities are. I don't know what everybody's is. Most of you guys are visual, but there's a couple auditory people. These are people that love, I won't go into it. I won't go into the description. All you guys have to know is to know how to speak to people. And so this requires you to actively listen. And so if you're not auditory, and most of us aren't auditory, it's very hard for us to listen. It's very hard for me to listen. I am not auditory. In fact, I have to listen to things 3 or 4 times. I'm going to have to see some sort of visual, have to feel something at the end of the day. But if they're telling you, I heard, my friends were telling me, this is what they were saying, something of those long lines. Yeah, and then you could use these auditory words. This will build that rapport bridge very easily and effortlessly for you guys to be able to have the effective communication. Kinesthetic. Yeah, I just don't feel like now is a good time. I just don't feel, because my friends, they had gotten screwed, and so I just don't feel like right now is a good time. I don't want to get screwed. I don't want to be whatever it's going to be. Now, obviously, I just gave you guys the kinesthetic, but what would be a good response to this?
How are you gonna feel when your bill doubles within the next 3 years?
Very good.
How are you
Very,
gonna feel when those summer bills roll around and your AC's at 80?
Yep.
Hey, I'm right there with you. A lot of your neighbors felt the same way. What they found out was something completely different.
That's next level, because your feel felt found, right?
Yep.
What else? Trey, what would you use? Trey Mathis. I don't feel. Okay, Evan, I don't feel now is a good time.
Totally understand that. Totally understand that. Felt the same way, but this is completely different. Something like that.
Yeah. So that's good. I mean, yeah, I totally understand how you feel. So kind of let me tell you what all the other neighbors are feeling right now. They're feeling a lot of fear because they got the utility insert from the utility company, and they know their bill is going to double in 4 years. So people are freaking out. You can also use good adjectives. People are freaking out. People are scared. People are nervous. Whatever those adjectives are, which is a description on how they're going to feel. So people are really, really freaking out right now. People are really fearful about the future. People are wondering what sacrifices. You can also paint a really good picture about what the future is going to look like, and then what our opportunity is going to look like. I promise you're going to feel like this is too good to be true, but I promise you, I'll show you how this actually works. And at the end of the day, you'll feel that this is really the best decision that you're going to make. So some of these things just require us to do a different level of thinking. This is why this is such a great career, because it allows us to develop these skills that other people don't have. And most people are going to operate out of their most dominant submodality. And so what I love about this career is that it forces me to grow, adapt, and change, and develop myself so that I can dip into every one of those. I'm a kinesthetic, so I feel stuff. So when I'm thinking things through my filters, it's always going to be about how I'm going to feel at the end of the day. So obviously these are the people that I really resonate well with. If it's about painting a really good picture so that people can feel a certain way, I'm going to be able to do that with my linguistics. But I've had to learn to adapt and develop a little bit different skill set so that I can touch on all of these other things. There's another next level on this that we're not going to go into today, but you figure out with the trigger. A lot of times people have a lead, and there's like 3 submodalities they're going to work with. Either they're going to hear something, and then they're going to feel something, and then they're going to see something, or they're going to see something, then they're going to feel something, and then they hear something that's going to make them pull the trigger. Once you can figure out what that is, dude, that's the blueprint to be able to close these people. We talk about getting them to open up so that we can have the blueprint to be able to close these people. But once you could develop this foundational closing techniques, like you will get everybody every single time once you can figure out where they stand. So after every sentence, respond to at least one of their exact words or phrases. Also, you can use their linguistics. If they're using particular words that you're not used to using, you can actually envelop those words and you can use those words inside of the context of setting the consultation or inside the close. Yesterday, this guy kept talking about these other particular things, and I kept leveraging and using the same linguistic model that he was using, and I built that rapport bridge graph. And when I analyzed it with ChatGPT, it told me exactly what I was doing, which I was intentional about what I was doing. So there was no surprises in the feedback that I got from ChatGPT because I already knew intentionally what I was going to do. So let's just move on to the next one. But are you guys good with this? You think you could implement this? Is this too much information, or do you guys think you could be good and then you can start implementing some of these things?
Yeah, this is great. Like I definitely wasn't really conscious of this before we brought this up in the training.
Good stuff.
I got a question before we jump on to the next one, though, on the 3 submodalities. Say if you can catch like somebody has 2 of them or 3, do you try to target all of them, or do you just like stick to one that you feel like that's their main submodality?
Well, all of us, everybody uses all 3. It's inevitable. I mean, but we have a dominant one. And so if you're listening to these people, the first thing that comes out of their mouth is usually going to be their trigger, the most dominant one. So they're always going, and they're going to keep looping it back again and again and again. So it's about actively listening to these people and discussing it with them. One of the other things too is if you're not conscious of this and maybe you miss it, or maybe you do the wrong one, we can stop doing this. There's all sorts of other techniques and stuff. They could be maybe theirs is mainly visual, and then you can transition after you start leading them, you can transition them right back into like how they're going to feel. And you can loop that in. This is a little bit more technical training and stuff for you guys, but in that bed, like they're gonna always use their most dominant one. Everybody does. And if you watch it the way that you speak, you'll also speak like this. But people are not even conscious of this. We have unconscious programs that are constantly running inside of our brain, and there's things that we do no matter what we do. There's just a way that we act. And so people aren't even conscious of this. You guys probably, nobody's even conscious of any of these things. It's not until you have the awareness that now you have conscious incompetence that we realize that, hey, there's a lot of stuff that we don't know. And then so we start developing the skills through practice and application, and then we start being intentional about it. And I want to be honest with you guys, the training that I'm giving you right now is next fucking level. I'm just going to be honest with you guys right now. No sales guy on the planet is deep diving into what I'm teaching you right now at this period of time. Nobody's going deep dive into the foundational exercises, because you know what? Most people are unconscious and they don't even understand what they're doing. They'll hit surface level stuff. Or you'll talk about tonality, but they don't even conscious of why they're doing the tonality. They're not mirroring and matching the customer. They're effectively trying to communicate the best way that they can, right? They're going to leverage some sort of tonality, but they're not even consciously aware of why they want to leverage that tonality. So this is really for you guys. It's next level. There's no ego in here. It's just being conscious of the things and stuff that you're learning and the things that I'm teaching you guys to be able to implement and to create the foundation that I believe I could close anybody, anytime, anywhere, any product. It doesn't matter what product it is, because I know the foundation of being able to how to close anybody, anytime, anywhere. It doesn't have to be solar. It could be used spit. Could be Girl Scout cookies. Could be turds. I don't know, whatever it's going to be. Doesn't matter, because once you figure out how to be able to effectively communicate to your clients, like you build those rapport bridge, you can pace them, and then you can lead them to get them to make a decision that's going to be effectively, it's going to be ecological, it's going to be good for them, it's going to be good for us. So I'm going to do the next one, number 4. So I'm going to do these one more time. If you don't have pen and paper, I feel sorry for you, because this is badass training. The first one's going to be pacing tonality. The second one's going to be pacing body language. The third one is pacing linguistics. Okay, number 4 is pacing emotional state. So match their emotional energy, lead them to a better state. if there's, this is why we never try and head people. If they have an objection, we don't hit it straight on. What do we say when someone has an objection?
Totally understand.
Yeah, I understand. So I understand. Next level is you tell them exactly what they're feeling. So like, yeah, I don't feel this is a good decision for me because my friend got screwed and is in a worse position. You're like, so so I understand what you're telling me is that you don't want to be in the same position as your friend because you don't want to feel like you got taken advantage of, you got screwed, right? Okay, absolutely. I understand that 100%. So now that we're on the same page, so matching and if they're skeptical, like, yeah, I don't think this is, I don't think that, I just, what you're sounding is, everybody tells me this sounds too good to be true. And so I'm going to pre-frame them from the very beginning. What we're going to show you is going to look too good to be true. And I'm going to explain to you logically why this makes sense and why this looks too good to be true. It's not always going to look like this. It's never looked like this before, but I'm going to explain to you exactly why this once. And the longer that you listen, the more this is going to make sense. The more you're going to understand and realize that this is a good decision for you to make, to be able to take advantage, to be able to have absolute energy independence, to have a better quality of life, and to be in a better position. So whatever they're bringing at the emotional table, this is why we got to want to understand the personality types. When we better understand the personality types, we can more effectively communicate with our clients. And so who was saying, Caden, I think was saying that somebody was yelling at him yesterday. So someone was yelling at him yesterday, right? I think you were saying that, or you recorded the pitch, and then you looked at, you analyzed it, and he was yelling at you. Was that you, Caden?
Yeah, that was me, and I thought I was matching him very well, and I went back and I looked at it, and I was not even remotely close.
You looked at it, or you listened to it?
Listen to it.
Listen. Ooh, very good. Yeah, very good. You might be auditory then. You do have a radio voice, so it's melodic. So I'm just saying, might be but one of your submodalities. But let's just talk about this for a minute. So in the context of the discussion when you're having with this guy, what he started getting, like his voice started going up, or what happened?
So he was a straight bull, absolutely, and I thought I laced my voice with a lot more downward authority, and I kind of tried to pace it the same way, and I think well, actually, I know for a fact it didn't come off remotely how I wanted it to. And it went from this very straight to the point but friendly interaction to, I think the next line, it was, what do you want, in like a maximum volume scream. So, yeah. And then I kind of tried to match that, and it just ended up with a door slam.
So what did he say?
What do you want at maximum volume?
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what he said.
I'm sorry?
That's what he said.
Yeah, that's what he said.
And what was your response?
I believe I cut out a lot of the fluff in what I was going to say, and I started talking about what I was doing in the neighborhood.
Yeah, he's like, kick rocks.
Yeah,
He took
basically.
control. So here's the other thing. We're just gonna kind of like take a detour for a minute. What do you want? Oh, hi, sir. We're just doing solar. Get the hell out of here, dude. Beat it. So a good way. So immediately when someone asks a question, who's in control? You or them?
The person asking the question.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, so he answered the door and he said, "What do you want?" Right?
Yeah.
So, okay, so let's role play real fast. You do it.
What do you want?
Caden? That's your name's Caden, right?
Yeah.
Perfect. This is super important. Come out here. I got to talk to you real fast. It's gonna take 5 minutes. I gotta go.
That actually is really shocking, that shift.
So he's taking control by asking you a question. You're on your heels, and now he's got you exactly where he wants you, which is you're going to tell him what you're doing in 30 seconds. He's going to say, not interested, slam the door, right? So immediately what do you want? Hey, you're Caden? Caden, right? Caden, come here. I got to talk to you real fast. So immediately I mirrored and matched his tonality without being rude. I didn't say like, what do you want? Hey, what do you want? I didn't say that. I immediately took back control and immediately got him to come out. This is super important. I got to talk to you real fast. 5 seconds. Come on out here. And then I'm telling him to come out the door so he can't slam the door on me.
Yeah, that probably would have had a very different reaction than
here's the thing. If a bull personality like immediately asks you a question, the worst thing you can do is try to hurry up and respond, even if you're matching the tonality. Because if you're responding immediately, you're on your heels anyways. You're not mirroring and matching his energy because you're on the defensive. So what we want to do is we want to jump out and be on the offensive. So let's just mirror match. Let's just figure out, what do you think emotional state he was in?
It started off friendly and then it moved towards time being wasted. So I guess irritated would be closer to the end state.
So, but he answered the door. What do you want?
No, he started out pretty friendly. He was definitely there was like let me see if I can remember what he said exactly. It was very friendly for the first 15 seconds of the conversation.
Yeah, because you're like, oh, hi, hey, you the homeowner here? Yeah, I am. Yeah, what's going on? Oh, well, we're just doing. What do you want, dude? Come on, bro, you're wasting my time.
Sounds about right.
It's not irritation. He's impatient. You're not getting to what he wants. He wants to know why you're there, what you're doing, so he can decide whether or not he's gonna let you waste his time or not. So like, hey, dude, Caden, wait. This is super important. Come out here. I got to talk to you. 5 minutes. It's really important. You're going to want to listen to what I have to say. So immediately, his emotional state is impatience. So you just mirror and match that impatience, right? He's wanting to get rid of you, but you're actually like, hey, dude, I got to take off here in a second, but this is really important. You got to talk to me, Caden, 5 seconds. Come out here so I can tell you what's going on. So yeah. I just mirror and match his emotional state, which is impatience. I'm impatient as well, so I'm just going to mirror and match that. My tonality, my cadence, how fast I'm actually speaking, because this guy's probably talking really fast. He's wanting a lot of information really quick. And so I'm like, hey, this is super important. I got to talk to you really fast. I just broke his pattern. I just did a pattern interrupt, and I built up the rapport bridge because I didn't back down. I didn't hurry up and try and get out exactly what I was saying and take a very long route to do it. I told him this is really important, which broke his emotional state. Now I'm able to get him into a position where I can actually tell him what I'm doing. And by the way, at first, when someone is impatient, we have to really speed up the cadence and we have to really make our mark. So we have to break the preoccupation so that they'll give us a chance and opportunity to talk to these people. So let's just take someone else. Let's take someone else that's very skeptical. Did anybody meet anybody that's really skeptical this week? And I want to hear about it. Come on, let's go.
I met one last week for when I was there. She canceled at the doorstep, but I went back 3 times to set the appointment. And finally on the last one, I kind of like showed her like, hey, this is ending. Like, I'm fed up with it. Like, either you look at it now or you never look at it again, because nobody's going to be coming by trying to sell solar because it's not going to make as much sense. It's not as volatile as it is now. Finally said it, and at the door, she had too much time to think about it between the appointment time and then. And she was like, oh, I talked to my friend. Yeah, she's a good story, blah, blah, blah. But I'm just not ready for it. I'm like, and I told her like the type of person she is. Like, you're super analytical. You like running your numbers and everything, but you're also super risk adverse. So I get that. Like, you don't want to be screwed over, right? And she goes, yeah, I don't want to be screwed over. And she went in this long drawn story about how she got fucked over by somebody in the past and whatnot. So I couldn't even get past it at the door, but she just canceled there.
So let me just tell you, if you're pacing someone's emotional state, the feel, felt, found technique is going to work absolute best. Feel, felt, found. So let's just say you're coming to someone that's skeptical like that. So she talked to her friend or whatever. So, and you're at the door, you're trying to get in the appointment. So she talked to her friend. She's like, oh, I talked to my friend and she said that blah, blah, blah. So obviously I identify this lady. She's a sheep personality. She's not an analytical person. This is a sheep. If she talked to somebody and they swayed her emotional sense of making a decision, this is a sheep. She's looking, and the fact that she talked to somebody, let me tell you, some of the people, the sheep personalities always need to run something by somebody to see if they're making a good decision. They're unsure of themselves, and so they need to have external proof that what they're doing is making a good decision. Anybody that needs external proof, there's a little bit more challenging people because we can't control the variables of who they're going to talk to and what that person's going to say, because we're not there to guide that conversation. So just to let you know, external people always are usually like the sheep types of personalities, the tiger personalities always talk to somebody. They're external, not internal people. Bulls and owls are internal. So just kind of let you guys know the context of that. But let's just say that she did talk to them. So what I hear you saying is that you talked to somebody, they had a bad experience, and they told you that this wasn't a good decision to make, right? So, okay, hey, did you talk to them? Did you call them, or did they come over? Okay, and so you really felt the need that you had to reach out and talk to somebody because you wanted to make sure that you're making a good decision because you got screwed over the past, right? Awesome. So let's call that person up so that I could at least talk to them and figure out their position. I'm not trying to do this anymore, but I'd like to figure out exactly why they think you taking control of your finances, saving tens of thousands of dollars, and having a better quality of life is going to be a negative experience. I just want to figure out what their position is before I take off so I can mark you off the list. Let's give them a call. You get either two things, two responses. Okay. Or no, I can't call and bother them because I'm scared to bother them right now. Right? There's two responses. Now, here's the thing. If they call them, dude, if I'm talking to them and they call them, I'm going to convince the other person on the phone that this is a good decision. Now, if they say I can't bother them and say like, well, that's not really fair to me because we're fighting phantoms. You can say no as long as you look at this. But if they're going to be helping you making a decision, are they helping you pay your utility bill at this point in time? Are they paying your utility bill? No, they're not. Okay. So do you think they want the best for you? Is this something, do they want the best for you? Do they want the best for you or do they not want the best for you? Oh, they want the best for me. Okay, great. So do you think if they knew that there was a way that you could reduce your utility bill, have absolute certainty in the future, have a better quality of life for no money out of pocket, do you think they would think you would be in a worse position or a better position? Or did they hear something from somebody else that said that this is bad? Which one? So do you think they want the best for you? They want the best for you, right? So I'm absolutely positive that this is the best for you, but you got to let me sit down with you so I can show you so that you can show them, and maybe we could rope them in to helping them make this decision. I would like them to be there as well, especially if they're helping you make a decision. So a series of questions have just uncovered what the true objection is. The true objection is you're fighting a phantom ghost. And so this is going to be mirroring and matching their emotional state. So obviously they felt the need to call somebody and talk to them about sitting with somebody, not even making the decision. They had to talk to somebody about sitting with somebody. Like these fucking people, I hate these types of customers, by the way. My worst personality type is a sheep personality. I fucking hate them. They always they always are so needy and they need all this external confirmation that they're making a good decision. But just because I don't like them doesn't mean that I don't know how to sell these people. Knowing that they have to have somebody else, an external voice that's going to help them make a decision, it's very important that you rope them in there and you rope the external voice to be sitting there on the consultation with them when you're there at the home. Because chances are, most of my cancellations come from sheep personalities that talk to somebody that tell them they're getting screwed because they're saving money. Like, it's the most stupidest thing on the planet. Like, and you're fighting a phantom at that point of time because the way that their sheep personality is going to tell them, hey, I made a decision to sign up for a 25-year agreement at $200 a month. Do you think this is a good idea or a bad idea? Bad idea. Because they're not trained sales professionals. But knowing their emotional state and knowing that they need somebody extra to help them make decisions is very important that we rope that external voice into the decision-making process. Because if we can get someone to co-sign what they're doing, they're going to make the decision because now they're going to have a confirmation bias, not just with us, but with somebody that they trust to help them make decisions.
Yeah, I had just yesterday, Reggie sent me a bill. And I got on the phone. He called me, and he happened to be at the door. And I was like, she was basically like, no, just give me a card. I could hear her, just give me a card. I'll call you if I, whatever. I said, Reggie, just let me talk to her. And she was saying the same, basically what you just painted the picture. She made some excuse about how she's normally not home at this time because she's a bus driver. But school's out right now. She wouldn't lock down a time. She needed to consult with a friend. I said, yeah, I totally understand. And I tried to say, like, when's a good time we could have them come over? I said, I have this time available. And and she's like, well, I'm just not going to give you a time. So I went along that path. And I mean, I guess I don't know if I'm asking for like a direction, but I tried to set it with the person that she was going to consult with without even, like you're saying, without even knowing the numbers. And I just tried to rehash, and I went back to say, like, listen, that's why I'm trying to sit down to show you the numbers so you guys can have some information to discuss. Do you think that would be the right track, is to be able to like push the agenda of like showing them the information so they have something to talk about?
So you're pushing logic, Zach. So you're pushing logic and numbers. Like, listen, I know this logically makes sense to all of us, and it's going to be very challenging for you guys to do emotional anchors. So you pose questions. And if it's the person that's helping them make decisions, you ask them, do you think that your friend that you're asking on the time, do they want the best for you? What's their answer going to be?
I mean, they're going to say yes.
They're going to say yes every single time. This is why they're consulting these people. They want the best for you. So do you think if your friend had a crystal ball and knew there was a way that you could reduce your bill, know what your bill is going to be for the foreseeable future, and get out of all these price increases and live a much more comfortable life, do you think that would put you in a better position or worse position? They're going to say a better position. So I'm going to jump out on a limb and say your friend, if they knew what this looked like, and if they knew how this program was going to benefit you by the things that we aforementioned, I think that they would have you do this. So here's the thing. I know they're going to help you make this decision. What we want to do is we want to get them there as well so that you can have confirmation that this is a good decision for you and you don't have to just listen to me. There is a human error element in this. And so I would love for them to be here, because here's what I know is that your friend probably is looking out for you and helping you make decisions. And I know that they want the best for you, so that I know when they see this program, they obviously will have you move forward because it puts you in a better position, right? Okay? Exactly. So this is why. Now, here's the issue that we're encountering right now. This program has only been out for 8 months. And unfortunately, this new administration has actually paused this. And there's a bunch of volatility coming up with this big, beautiful bill. And so what we want to do is lock this in and take advantage before it goes away, because there is a deadline on it. I'm not just telling you this. You can watch any political channel and you can see what's going on with the politics right now and this big, beautiful bill. They're pulling the tax incentives for solar and they're giving them to nuclear, which nuclear is much more reliable, but it takes the control out of your hands and it puts it in the utility company's hands. You can't own a nuclear plant on your rooftop, unfortunately, right? So let me tell you why we want to do this. And let me tell you, we want to do this before the 18th of this month so that we can lock you in so that you could be in a better position based on what you said. Because if everything I said was true and correct, you said yourself you'd be in a better position, right? Absolutely. So obviously your friend wouldn't want you to miss out either. You don't want to miss out. You want to be in a much better position based on what you said, but you said this would put you in a better position. This would put you in that best position, and we want to take advantage of right now. So here's what I'm going to do. What time does your friend typically get off work? Does your friend ever come over to your house, or do you guys just like talk on the phone? Okay. Do you know, and what time do you get off work? Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to tentatively schedule this out. I'm too busy to keep coming back and checking to see if you talk to your friend. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to tell your friend that we have something that we want to show both you and your friend. There's no pressure here. At the end of the day, this is your decision to make. And by the way, we're not going to do this unless your friend said this is a good idea. So that gives you the peace of mind knowing that your friend has to co-sign this as well. I'm going to schedule this for tomorrow at 6 p.m. Like, I know you have to talk to your friend, and I know you feel a little bit uncomfortable asking your friend to be there, but you said your friend wants the best for you. So I really feel that this is the best decision for you to make. Obviously, I'm going to be a little bit biased, but I see the numbers, and I know what this looks like. We're going to schedule this for 6 p.m. I'm going to send you my digital rep card. If something pops up where you guys cannot connect with us tomorrow, let me know. Shoot me a text or let me know. Other than that, I'm going to run the report with the engineers, and I'll see you tomorrow at 6. Does that work for you? Done. I just transitioned and got the consultation. I matched their emotional energy. I conceded and openly admitted that their friend has to be there. I openly admitted that it has to be two of you guys agreeing to do this thing together. It can't just be you because you don't make decisions. I didn't outwardly say that, but I said, yeah, your friend's helping you make decisions. They want the best for you. You trust your friend, so your friend has to be there. So what I did is I paced them emotionally. They're scared of making decisions. If they have their friend there, they have strength because their friend helps them make decisions. I wanted their friend to be there. I assume that they're obviously going to want to see this based on what they told me and based on the psychological tricks, knowing that the friend helps them make decisions and knowing that they won't feel good unless their friend co-signs this. And I scheduled it and I assumed the sale and I put it for 6 tomorrow and I gave the justification and the reasons why I put it for tomorrow so I can't keep coming back to their house to checking to see if they actually made the consultation with their friends. If they're a sheep personality, they're going to let you schedule that. Now, whether or not that sits ultimately is up to them and their friend. Their friend might be like, no, I'm not going to do that. And at the end of the day, if their friend says, no, I'm not going to do that based on what you said, that's not a good friend. They're not looking after their best interest. They're just trying to tell them that they're not going to do it because they're trying to control their friend. So there's a bunch of presuppositions that I'm making in there. I'm assuming that the friend has their best interest in heart. I'm assuming that the customer, based on them having to consult their friend to make an appointment, dude, I'm assuming that they help them make all the decisions because this isn't about buying solar. This is about just sitting down with somebody. They have to consult their friend. So that speaks volumes in the personality chart that these people are. And I understand where they're at. And I want them to feel comfortable about making this decision. And I've identified them with empathy, which paced them emotionally. I told them exactly what they needed to do. And then I transitioned closer to the sale. So there was a lot of information I just gave you guys inside that context. But one thing that you can take away from that is I've kind of identified them and I kind of let them know exactly, knowing that someone has to make a decision. They have to call somebody to make an appointment. It's absolutely ludicrous, dude. It's crazy. Like for me, it's very hard to have respect for people like that. I know there's a lot of people out there. It's very hard. I got to put away my own bias and I just got to understand where they're at. And I got to come to them where they're at, not where I'm at. Like I'm not asking them stupid questions. Like you have to actually call a friend to make an appointment. Like, that's crazy. What other things do you have to do? That's what I really want to say to people. I want to be fucking rude, but instead I'm going to identify with some sort of empathy and I'm going to transition to sale. And I'm always pushing the envelope. If you look at what I didn't just sit there. I immediately transitioned on and said, obviously, based on what you told me, you said that they want the best for you. You said that you wanted them there. I know that they want this there. I know that this would put you in a better position. Based on what you told me, you said you'd be in a better position. So let's just do the next step and let's set the consultation up for 6. And I transitioned out of it. I answered their objection. I paced and led them. I was pacing and then I led them to the transition out to making the consultation. So if anything, your subconscious, if you were listening, your subconscious picked up on what I did and you'll be able to implement it later on. If consciously you didn't pick up on the whole thing, your subconscious did, and your subconscious listened to me and is going to understand these things. So I want to we didn't even get to the rest of them. So sorry, a little bit long-winded on there, but pacing the emotional state. So pacing the emotional state there's a bunch of categories and stuff on how people are going to be at emotionally. Some people are going to be, impatient. Some people might be irritated. Some people might be having a bad day. Some people might be having a good day. Some people might be excited. Some people might want to ear rape you. Some people just are excited to be able to talk to somebody at their house. Whatever emotional state they're in, we want to put ourselves in that emotional state. Now, well, let me tell you this. The next level for you guys, if you are pacing them with their body language and the tonality, what you'll notice is that you will put yourself in that same emotional state that they are. It's going to affect your physiology. Your physiology can change your emotional state. If you put your shoulders down, you go like this and your head's down, what emotional state are you going to be in? I promise you, you'll be in an unresourceful, motivational state. If you're putting your head down and you're putting your shoulders down. Now, if your shoulders are up and you're smiling, what emotional state are you going to be in? So when we pace and lead and mirror and match our clients, we immediately get in rapport with them because we're immediately getting into that same emotional state. Now, obviously, we don't want to stay in an unresourceful state. So once we mirror and match and we built the rapport, then we start leading them out of that, leading them out. So if you notice what I did in context of what Zach was talking about, I put them in that, I was in that emotional state. I kind of understood where they were at. You know, obviously, if you're on the phone, you can match their tonality, but you're not going to match their physiology because you can't see it. But a lot of times, tonality, you'll match your own physiology. But then what I did is I took them in that emotional state of fear and anxiety and making decisions and how hard it is. And then I started to lead them out of it by giving them future pacing them. So I started future pacing them and like, obviously, yeah, okay, you need them to make a decision. Well, would that put you in a better or worse position? It put you in a better position. Does your friend want what's best for you? Absolutely. My friend wants what's best for me. And then I started leading them with future pacing. Now I started leading them in the future pacing by intentionally saying you're going to be in a better position based on what you told me. And I'm tying them down and using that to propel them forward. Does that make sense to you guys? You guys, everybody kind of understood what I was talking about?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
So some of this stuff is a little bit next. We haven't even gone into the deep dive into the cell psychology. This is more surface face. It's not exactly milk, but it's not exactly meat. It's like right in the in between. I believe this. I believe that if everybody on this call today can start implementing some of these pacing methods, that you'll build that rapport bridge and then you'll immediately get results out of doing it. Now, if you're younger, like the art of communication, this is next level communication. This is putting consciousness to where we're unconscious at this point. A lot of you guys are unconsciously incompetent just because you don't know what you don't know. And so now that you do know, you can start being intentional and start pacing and leading. And I want everybody, I told you guys to participate and let me know on the chat when you implemented this and you had some results. Not a single one of you guys implemented this and shared it on the chat. Nobody did. So what I want you to do is this. This is the instruction today. And what you'll find is that the more you do this, the more intentional you're going to be about it. And the more you tell others, the more intentional you're going to be about it. And the more consciously aware you're going to be about it. I want you to implement this on the doors. I want you to implement the tonality. I want you to implement the linguistics. I want you to implement the physiology. I want you to implement the emotional state. And when you do these things, maybe you want one or you do a combination of all of them. I want you to share on the chat your experience and if you had results. And by the way, if you misjudged somebody and you thought they were in a different emotional state and you're mirroring matching an unhappy state and they're in a happy state, let us know if you fail. Sometimes we learn best by our failures. Not sometimes, the majority of the time, it's not so much the failures, it's the feedback that we get as a result of what we're doing. And the greatest thing ever is that we're in a space that we have an unlimited amount of people, unlimited amount of doors that we can knock on, and we can get this feedback. It's incredible. This is the greatest industry of all time, dude. I'll tell you what, this is the greatest industry ever because we have an unlimited amount of prospects that we can go and we can implement practice things on. The other thing, for you guys that are in relationships, for anybody that's in a relationship, it doesn't have to be an intimate relationship. If you're talking to somebody, mirror and match them and implement these things. It's when we have unconscious incompetence and now we have conscious incompetence, when we start implementing this, you want to implement this everywhere you go, in every relationship you go. This is effective communication. And what you'll find is the more you implement this, the more your effective communication goes up and the more that you're getting and finding and being things that you want to do. So, love you guys. Share on the chat when you fail or when you have success. And by the way, if everybody implemented what you learned here today, every single one of you guys today, if you're knocking, will come with 5 appointments a day. Listen, I'm not just the guy that's going to tell you what to do. I fucking did it this week. I don't just tell you guys what to do. I implement it. I'm not selling treasure maps. You guys didn't have to pay me $10,000 to be here today. I could have charged everybody $10,000 for what I know. I'm actually out there mining the treasure. I'm not selling treasure maps. And so what you're getting is a $10,000 education for zero. So go and implement it. Do yourself a favor. Implement this stuff today. Practice it. Try it out. Get feedback and get results. Love you guys. Have a good day. Let's go.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it,
Let's
man.
go.
Let's go.